So the rule of cause and effect is not that easy to understand when bad things happen to people. Um, what your personal belief is, what a good person is, and all of that. You know, they say it rains on the just and the unjust alike. Um, but justice is one of those weird concepts that isn't really backed by the divine. And so, you know, once upon a time we used to talk without reference to religion, and we would just talk about this different stuff. But if you lose track of the different religions, in the face of, we got a group around here that says no Jesus, no peace, no Jesus, no peace, and it's KNOW and NO. So they're very violent, they're very aggressive. They are they sexually assault people. They drug and assault people. They slander people, and they prevent relaxation or enjoyment anywhere that they feel that there is somebody who is not a non-Christian is in the community. And so that has forced people to regroup into, you know, one of the reasons why I had to go see my guru, despite the fact that it was a very dangerous situation to go do that, to be outed like that, is because they were also testing people that were trying to just stay ambiguously non-defined. You had to make statements of Christianity, and then they would test it. And because I believe in the rules of cause and effect, I believe in cause and effect, and am a warm-hearted person. You know, I couldn't adhere to the belief that it didn't matter what you did to people who weren't Christian. I couldn't do that. You know, like, that was one of the things that was really upsetting, was I never could understand that. And then they would want me to do bad things to, like, my guru or something like that, and I couldn't do that. You know, there were lots of times that I was deprogrammed, and so I'm going through some of the deprogramming memories as I'm trying to reestablish my core beliefs. But you know, there are people all over the world getting scoured off the planet. The idea that it doesn't happen to Christians unless it's done through sorcery. Yeah, everybody thinks that when they see patterns sometimes in the destruction, just like people would see patterns in the entrails of pigeons. And whether these patterns are there or not doesn't really matter. It kind of matters, it kind of doesn't matter. Are you projecting these patterns from your own mind? Are you really seeing something that triggered you to think? I really think that there are patterns in these things. But, you know, the ability to, you know, we were talking about the things that happen in Kentucky and stuff like that. You know, people say, like, I personally am making the decision that I assert that nobody but somebody with demons in them would think that anything had any cause or reason. So the rules of cause and effect, anybody who thinks about cause and effect has demons in them. So when a bunch of kids get shot in their prayer circle, you know, I've heard those prayer circles. Oh, Jesus, thank you for making me not a loser like David, who's just a creep and he smells bad. And I think that it's really good that I'm a Christian and I'm going to be successful in life, unlike these people that are never going to make anything of themselves. And oh, thank you, God. Bam! Why on earth would anybody shoot somebody for saying something like that? I okay. You gotta have a lick of sense. You gotta have some sense. Some of us are women, and some of us are not. And we talk about the differences between men and women and having sense and not having sense. My grandpa told me one time that you can think a dog's really smart in the house and you let them out of the house and they just act all stupid, and it's kind of that way with women. But there's a lot of people on this earth that could have a very knowledgeable discussion about that kind of thing. That there are strengths that men have and that there are strengths that women have. But if you don't think about these things in the right order, in the right structure, in the right motivation, if you're thinking about them to justify women being useless so that you can dump on them, you're not going to understand that. I mean, a lot of women think about men as being tools, but women are more like tools than men, I think. And if you leave your tools in a place where they get all corroded and cracked and everything like that, and you go to need them for something, not only do they fail to do the job, but they might become incredibly dangerous to you when you attempt to use them. They might. So, and it's the same thing with anybody that you see is inferior to yourself. It doesn't mean that you have to support them in the same way. You're a tool to somebody. We're all tools up the line, And how you treat them, how their downtime is. Now, human beings, you can't put a human being in a toolbox and expect them to just stay there if they're not comfortable in it. You have to make them comfortable in their toolbox. You have to give them things to do. There's only so long a person can just lay on their bed and stare at the ceiling before they start getting up to mischief, like telling people that Jesus is Moloch. And I'm getting to that point. I need something to do. And, yeah, I'm not highly stimulated by, I know they're trying, but I see what's coming down the line. 3 Christian women are taking me places. And I think they all see my problem is I'm not a Christian. I'm not, and it's in my channels and it's in everything, and I just can't become somebody that's gonna get on that ride, and I feel sad about them. They all, too. I have my reasons to feel sad about them too, and I hope we don't get into that conversation.